Welcome to the Non-Negotiable Living podcast, where we're building lives by design by creating non-negotiable habits around fitness, family, faith, and financial freedom.
All change and growth in our life comes from first stopping and being honest with yourself and acknowledging, where am I and where do I want to be? And we have to define those points. Right now my life is here, but this is where I want to get to. And when we look at our lives and our desire to change and our goals, there are really two kinds of people. There are people who are running towards what they want, and there are people who are running away from what they don't want. So which type are you? And let me explain that a little bit. So for example, my parents are both drug addicts and alcoholics. That's how they were when I was growing up. My dad got sober when I was 8, and my mom died in her addiction from a heroin overdose. And when I was younger, my parents were crazy. There was a lot of insanity in my household between my parents, a lot of fighting, a lot of issues. And one day I told my dad, I don't want to be like you guys. You guys are crazy. And he said, then don't. You don't need to be like us. There was a huge shift in my life when I realized that the life that I was given and the examples that I was given as parents and people around me were not what I needed to replicate. But there's so much power in that. And unfortunately, so many people in their life fall into the mindset and the process of just being the person that they were raised to be. And it's really unfortunate. We have a choice. We have the ability to say, that's not the life I want. Those aren't the choices I want. My dad was raised with a bunch of gangbangers and drug dealers. And yeah, he went down that path for a while, but then he stopped himself and he changed his life. And I was raised with alcoholic and drug addict parents, but I didn't have to become an alcoholic. I didn't have to become a drug addict. I got to make that choice. My mom was highly educated, but my dad wasn't. And I got to make a choice of how much education I wanted and what I wanted my life to look like. And at a young age, I set the expectation that I was going to change my life. I was going to live a life at a level that my parents didn't. Not a life that they gave me. It wasn't a life that they exemplified for me. It was a life that I was going to create for myself because it's what I wanted and what I knew I deserved and what I knew I could get. The problem is so many people who are raised with less just fall into the expectation that they're never going to have more. And they might have these big dreams like, yeah, I would love to have a nice car and a nice house one day and a good income and get educated. But that's just not my life. That's not the kind of person I am. That's not the expectation that was set for me. But it doesn't have to be. We get to decide. But the problem is too many people set these goals, but they don't take action. There's nothing that they do that actually moves the needle towards those things. And it's a personal choice. Every day we have to get up and we have to put a drop in that bucket, investing in our future self. So we really have to map out that roadmap of here I am, here's where I want to be, and here are the 10 steps it's going to take to get there, and then start taking action. Now back to my example of people running away from what they don't want to be and people running towards what they want. So for me, I had always been running from what I didn't want to be. My mom was very unhealthy. She didn't take very good care of herself. And as a result, I have gone the complete opposite direction, and I've decided I want the best physical body I can have. I want to take care of my health. I don't want to be sickly. My mom was a hypochondriac. She struggled with degenerative bone disorders. She had back surgery and neck surgery and hand surgery. She had both of her knees replaced. She had chronic high cholesterol. She had all of these ailments, and it honestly scared the hell out of me because all I could see was, those are my genes. My life's going to go this way. This is what's going to happen to me. But I realized pretty early on that that didn't have to be the case. I could take care of myself. I could feed myself the right foods. I could exercise. I could build my strength up, protect my back, try not to do things that were going to hurt me. And it made all the difference in the world. So for many years, I've been running away from this fear of what I don't want to be. I don't want to be unhealthy. I don't want to fall apart. I don't want my bones and joints to hurt. I don't want to have surgeries. I don't want to rely on medications. So that's an example of somebody running from what they don't want. And it's okay to do that. It's okay to use that as your fuel and your fire. But on the other side, there are people who are running towards what they do want, as opposed to running away from what they don't want. And those people, for example, maybe somebody is on a fitness journey and they're overweight and they're saying, I want a better life. I want better health. I want to achieve all of these things. And that's the power, is when we can shift our mindset from the negative to the positive. There's so much power in it. And that's what I've had to do over the last couple of years, is realize, like, I don't have to run from what I don't want anymore. I don't have to run from being an alcoholic and a drug addict. I don't have to run from having lack of health and my body falling apart. I don't have to run from things anymore. I can run towards what I want. And that's what I think God wants for us to take the power back in our life and say, this is what I want and this is what I'm going to work towards. So now I've shifted. And instead of saying, I don't want this, I focus on the positive. What do I want? And when we're focusing on the positive, everything in our life becomes more positive. If we're constantly focusing on the negative thing and the thing we don't want, we're giving too much time and energy and attention towards that thing. We're still giving it power, and we need to take that power away from the negativity in our life. And we need to shift it to, I want to be healthy. I want to be my best self. I want to have the best energy for my kids and my family and to be able to participate. So instead of running from what we don't want, if we can all shift our thoughts and our mindsets over to running towards what we do want and setting that strategy and that map for us to get there. It's about creating really clear ideas around where you are and where you want to be and what it's going to take to get there. So if it's fitness, it may be that you're not eating healthy, so you need to change your eating. You're not exercising, so you need to change your exercise. You're very sedentary, so you need to start walking. So if you say, I'm 100 pounds overweight and I want to lose 100 pounds. I want to get healthier. I want more energy. I want to sleep better. I want to look better. I want to feel better. I want to regain my confidence. Then there are actionable steps you can take to get there. If it's, I want a high-paying job in sales, then okay, I need an education. I need to be trained on sales. I need to work with mentors and coaches that can teach me how to sell and be the best at what I do and get into an industry I'm passionate about. So there are actionable steps we can take. But we can't just go into life with these big, vague dreams. We have to be specific. We have to be clear. We have to create actionable steps. We're not going to get to this big, beautiful, amazing life by accident. We have to design it. And we have to have the destination in mind. So where do you want to be a year from now? How is your life going to be different in a year? How can you change it? Is your health better? Are you a better parent? Are you a better spouse? Are you being a better daughter or son? Are you spending more time with people? Are you being more considerate? Are you volunteering more time? What does your life look like? How do you change the trajectory of it? How do you want to change who you are? So what would need to change? You need to ask yourself these questions. Okay, me in a year, I want to change who I am as a person. I want to upheave my whole life, and I want to change the trajectory of my future. So you need to ask yourself the questions that are at the foundation. A year from now, what does my health look like? Am I making more money? Am I more confident? Am I more kind? Am I more educated? Am I reading more books? Am I walking more? Am I traveling more? You need to understand what's going to make you have that level of success that you're after, and then build those actionable steps around that. And then also you need to look at, how do you define yourself as a person? How do you look different in a year? Would I say, I'm more successful? I'm a better parent. I'm a better daughter. I am happier. I am more satisfied with life. I have less things, but more time. I have a better job. What are those things that you need to give you that fulfillment? But you need to go into designing your future self with purpose. We have to define where we are, where we want to be, the steps we need to take to get there. And then from there, how do we start taking action on those steps? We have to break it down. We need to create SMART goals. We need to make it specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. So don't just have these big goals. Break it down into small steps and make it actionable, and every day put a drop in that bucket towards your future self. Not every day is it going to be incredibly productive. Not every day are you going to make earth-shattering progress. But if every day you're making progress towards that person you want to be and those goals you want to achieve and that place you want to go, then you're never sitting stagnant. And stagnant inactivity is what makes people have miserable lives. If they have all these ideas of what they want to do and they just never do anything, they never take action, that's what holds people back. So today, sit down and map out, who am I today and who do I want to be a year from now? How do I get to that place? What are the 10 steps it's going to take? And how do I start taking action today? What action can I take today that's going to invest in my future self, that's going to put a drop in that bucket and change my life?